What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here. Aqua Life Baby, you already know it. And it's time for that Ripple Riptide Rush. Alright guys, but today I want to do a deck profile on my Ripple Aquaforce deck. Now, I have a few things I want to get off my chest before we get started with the deck profile. First off, I will be doing a Ripple discussion video. I need to have some real talk with you guys about this Ripple deck, about Ripples in general. We just need to put things into a realistic perspective for you guys. But this deck has a lot of great points to it. It's a very consistent deck, especially a Ripple heavy deck, Ripple subclan heavy deck in terms of searchability. This deck has, as you guys know, which is the only hyped thing about this deck, is the grade 2 game. A very, very powerful grade 2 game. All things go well considered in terms of the ride chain and getting Cerrito and Pavroth on your Vanguard circle. It also has a great grade 3 game. Millie is to me the best Legion in Aquaforce, being able to unflip damage, draw a card, restand rear guards, and search out other Ripple cards. Very good, very, very good. And the late game for this deck is powerful as well. Access to Genovius's Limit Break is also a very good plus for this deck. Now, on the flip side, guys, this deck is not a tier 0 deck. This is, yes, people consider it the most cancerous deck and whatever because of the grade 2 game, kind of like Sanctuary Guard, Jewel Knights, but this deck is not a tier 0 deck, guys. People who play, with the cross, Narcomic, things like that, control decks can definitely, stop this deck doing. You're not always going to hit the ride chain. You're not always going to open up with Odysseus. You're not always going to have Cerrito in the soul with Pavros and things like that. Things can go Ari, and you need to be able to play the grade 3 game. Sometimes you're gonna have to ride in a grade 3 and play a game where your opponent goes into grade 3 and strides are active and things like that. You're gonna have to learn to adapt to those type of situations, and a lot of people's builds that I have seen aren't ready for those types of situations because they believe that the Japanese build and whatnot is the end all be all. It's the god of all builds for Ripples, and is really not, especially in a best of 3 format. But I will get into more of that in the discussion video and other things in deck profile. So let's get started. Alright guys, so start off the ride chain is starting Ripple Alex. So what he does is when a card named Silent Ripple Cerrito rises unit, you pick up the top 7 cards of your deck. You look for the grade 2 Rising Ripple Pavroth or Thundering Ripple Genovius from the top 7 and add it to your hand. And then if a grade 1 that is not Cerrito rides him, he gets the Forerunner, better we can call him out of the soul to the rearguard circle. We'll talk about him more in a little bit. Now, I'm running 4 heal triggers because we gotta heal. We gotta be able to heal in this format. We gotta be able to heal. Healing is very important, guys. I'm running 6 draw triggers. Now, the reason why I'm running 6 draw triggers is, yes, this deck does have somewhat of a focus on the grade 2 game because this deck can play the grade 2 game very well, and it's a strategy within the deck that can be executed at certain times. When certain conditions are met. So I'm running the 6 draw triggers because when you're at grade 1, you're only drawing 1 card and then checking another card, especially if you have to commit a card to get your Odysseus engine flowing and things like that. So the 6 draw triggers is just there to help with hopefully you damage it, hopefully you drive check it, just to help to speed up the deck along to get more resources to your hand. A lot of people run the 8 crit 4 draw build, and I was running that, but with the 8 crits and whatnot, it was more aggressive in terms of the crit lineup, but I was feeling that I needed to add more resources to my hand, so that's why I increased to 6 draw for now. And then we have 6 crit. The new Ripple crit trigger, guys, is a very good crit trigger. So his ability is that so what you do is at the end of the battle that he boosts, you put him on top of your deck. If you had 2 other Ripple rear guards rested, you put them on top. You put them on bottom of your deck. Excuse me. You search the top 5, add a Ripple card to your hand, and then send the rest back and shuffle your deck. So after he boosts, and you have 2 other Ripple units rested, put them at the bottom. Search the top 5, add a Ripple card to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So he's one of the cards, guys, that helps you get to certain things. He helps you search out your Odysseus, your Millie your Genovius, so you can use his Limit Break and things like that. This crit trigger is very good when you need to find things. Don't be afraid to guard with it either. You don't always need to use his ability if you don't need to, but he is good when you need to find certain cards. All right, on to grade 1. All right, guys. So next in the ride chain is Silent Ripple Sorito. So if you have Alex in the soul, when you ride him, if you got Alex in the soul, he becomes an 8K base. Pretty good, especially for defense on your first turn when you need to block certain things like 12K attacks and whatnot. His second ability is that when an Aqua Force unit that is not Rising Ripple Pavroth rides him, you can search the top 7 cards of your deck, look for a Pavroth, and then ride Pavroth over him. So, he helps, if you ride the wrong grade 2, he does give you the chance to correct the ride chain, which, which is very good about him. But he's the card that you guys need to have in the soul in order for you to have that great grade 2 game. So, which is one of the cards where you must open up with. Then I'm running 4 copies of 4 Perfect Guards, just regular Perfect Guards. This deck has has a lot of unflipping in it per the effects of Millie-80s, where you don't need to run the G Perfect Guards in. Now I know a lot of people, some people run the Quintet Walls, and then I was running the Quintet Walls, but personally I found the Quintet Walls to be a bit lackluster, as well as sometimes I was milling cards that I did not want to mill, especially copies of Genovias or Millie-80s, so that I couldn't continue my loop or things like that, especially if I'm going for Odysseus. Sometimes I need those extra Pavroths in the deck, since my deck is more Ripple heavy, and if I mill those Pavroths, then I lose the ability to get off a really good a turn with Odysseus and things like that. So that's why I'm running these perfect. And I have a grade 1 tech card in the deck, which I cannot run the Quintet Wall in because of consistency issues, and we'll get to that in a second. But the most broken rear guard in the deck is Flash Ripple Odysseus. So this is the card that is the engine. This is the conductor of the Ripple Rush grade 2 game. So what he does is he's an active ability once per turn. Some people think he should have been all on call. For broken purposes, yes, but for me, I like him. It's Aqua Life, deal with it. So what he does is you choose one of your rear guards, you put it into your soul, you search your deck for up to 1 card with Ripple in its card name, and that is the same grade as the one on your Vanguard circle, and you write it as stand. Then you choose a card from your soul not named Flash Ripple Odysseus, and that is the same grade as the card that you just rode. You call it out to the rear guard circle, and it gains plus 2,000 power. So what he does is like, let's say you rode the wrong grade 2. You have Alex out, or grade 1, you right outside, like Perfect Guard. Well, call him out, throw Alex into the soul, search out Sorito, ride Sorito, and then call out that grade 1. If it's not an Odysseus, because sometimes you might open up with 2 Odysseus and you have to ride one, and it kind of sucks. But it's like, okay, well, he just fixes your ride chain, guys. He helps you loop your grade 3s. He is the ever-present engine of the deck. He's what makes the deck run, so to speak. You always want to have at least a copy of him out on the board when you're trying to loop or establish a field and stuff, especially if you have to have the god-awful ride in riding into Genovias. He fixes that problem, because you'll get to ride Millie-80s, you'll search out a grade 3, you'll search out a card from the top 3. I mean, trust me, guys, riding Genovias is probably one of the worst things you can do in this deck, but Odysseus fixes that. Like I said, he's the engine, he's the conductor of the Ripple engine. And then last but not least, guys, I've been trying her out. Her name is Battle Siren Chloris. Now, I do have my doubts about her, and she has been working out pretty nicely in a few games I have been playing in. But, going up against more control decks where she can get off the field, where they can take her off the field, kind of makes her a bit suboptimal, which is why you can also run other cards in her place. Like I was running this card as well, the Dispatch Mission Seagull Soldier. But first, her skill. So what she does is that wave 4th time or more, so it's not generation restricted. When she boosts, you can Soul Blast 1, bind the top card of your deck face up. And then her other ability is on the rear guard circle. At the beginning of your guard step of the battle that your unit was attacked, you can choose any number of face-up cards from your bind zone and call them to the guard circle as rest, and those units get plus 5,000 shielding until the end of that battle. So she pretty much turns your 10Ks into 15s, your 5s into 10s, your grade 3s into 5K shields. So she helps with guarding, especially when your hand is pretty low and things like that. Now you can hit the fourth battle here. You can poke with a 9, attack with Pavroth. If Pavroth hits, restand, attack with another thing, then attack with a boost in her, then bind the top card. Now you have an extra card to guard with, as long as she's on, as long as she's on the field. Now the issue with her is that if she gets locked, if she gets blown up, things like that, then those bind cards that are still there are pretty much lost until you can get another copy of her on the field and then re-enter your guard step with her on the board. I've been trying her out and she's been working out pretty okay, but also guys, I've been trying out Dispatch Mission Seagull Soldier. Now she's 6K and he's 7K, so he's better for numbers, as well as when you call him to the rearguard circle, you can Soul Blast 1, give a unit plus 3K, and then a Generation Break 1, wave 4th time or more. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted, you can bounce it back to your hand. So you can retain a 5K shield and then call him back out to get that plus 3 again for your follow-up turn, or just have him back in your hand to add in an extra 5K of shielding. So from right now, guys, it's either or. I'm testing her out right now, but I think I'm still leaning more towards the Seagull Soldier. All right, on to grade 2. All right, guys, so for grade 2, I have 4 copies of Rising Ripple Pavroth. Now, this is the guy that is, the mainstay Vanguard for your grade 2 game. So what he does is that when you have Sorito in your soul, he becomes a 10K Vanguard. So he becomes a 10K grade 2 on the Vanguard circle. Very good in this day and age, especially with people playing the grade 2 game. Don't play the grade 2 game against this deck, guys. Please don't purposely play the grade 2 game against this deck. Very, very bad idea. But his other ability is that when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, if you have Sorito in your soul, then when he hits, you get to choose up to one of your Aquaforce rearguards, stand it, and that unit gets plus 3,000 until the end of the turn. So, the whole thing with the grade 2 game is, him combined with like Odysseus and whatnot. Like I like to have Odysseus behind him to have a 17K column, so that if my opponent is on grade 3, they're gonna have to commit, 2 cards for a no pass or or at least 10K shielding for a 1 to pass. But what he does is pretty much if he hits, restand a rear guard, gains 3K, then you get the extra attack in, which helps with Chloris because you can poke with one thing at knock 9. If he hits, then restand and then attack with another one, then attack with a full boost, bind a card. So that's just a hypothetical idea of what he does. But this guy is a nice solid 10K body to sit on, and he's the card that your opponent just does not want to hit. Next, I am playing, like I said, I'm playing more of a Ripple heavy build. So I'm running 4 copies of Unruly Ripple Lapis. Now, he's a 12K attacker for Ripples, and I think he's actually he's an underrated card, but he's a very good card. So what he does is simple. When this unit attacks, if you have 2 or more other units with Ripple in their card name that are rested, this unit gets 3,000 power until the end of the turn. So when he does his 12K swing, he keeps it to the end of the turn. Like I said, with the grade 2 game with Pavroth, if you attack with him and he's ahead of 12K, you hit with Pavroth, restand, gains 3K. So now he's turned 12 to 15. Then when he attacks again, he's going to be at 18K. So this guy is a very, very good card, especially late game when you're getting your Genovia's restand plays off. You do your columns correctly. Make him swing for him. He'll be at 12, and then you'll restand him, and then when he swings again, he'll be at 15. And with a 7K boost, that's a 22K column where you can place your do your trigger placements and place your trigger on another column. So that column will force a 15K shield, and his column can force a 15K shield. Just some ideas that you have floating around, some plays that you guys can definitely work on. So I actually like this card, guys. Again, he's a Ripple card, so he ups the consistency of the deck. For Odysseus purposes, for the grade 3 purposes, for the crit trigger purposes, he's a Ripple card, so he ups that consistency. And then you guys know it's hard for me to play an Aquaforce deck without my boy Tidal Assault. It's just too hard. I was playing now we got to this part. I was playing, initially the version that everybody was playing, with the turtle and things like that. But guys, this turtle is not a good card. This card just got overhyped obviously due to the deck that topped in Japan and whatnot, in the Japanese format. This card is just not good, guys. You guys know what Tidal Assault does. Attack, restand, minus 5K, can attack again. This guy definitely is good for getting off Chloris and whatnot and making multiple attacks in a turn. But the turtle is just not that good, guys. He's 7K for 1. 2, when you call him out and he hits, then you're a god. Then congratulations. You just top deck, Odysseus, 14K column right there, blah, blah. Use Odysseus, throw him into the soul, call out another great, call him back out, use his ability, and you hit, then that's great. But that's if you hit. If you hit. If you don't hit, then he's just a regular 7K or 9K if you used Odysseus' ability. If you don't hit, then he's just a sitting duck there. And late game, when you have your field established and things like that, his usage kind of dwindles. Plus, every time you use Odysseus to fish out a grade 1 or a grade 2, depending on where you're at, or mostly it's just grade 2s, when you use Odysseus to do that, you reduce the consistency of this card. This card calls out a grade 1 or 2, and if it's not, you reveal a type card. If it's not a grade 1 or 2, then you shuffle your deck. If it's a grade 1 or 2, you can call it to the rearguard circle, any rearguard circle. You can call it over himself when he's placed in the Vanguard or rearguard circle. If you don't hit, then it's like, well, it's a 7K. My grade 1 Sorito was much stronger than him. He was 8K base at least. But 2, when you start using Odysseus and things like that, and you start filtering out your grade 2s and whatnot, you start drawing into your grade 1s, drive checking them and stuff, things like that, you reduce the consistency of the turtle. And what's worse than a non-consistent card in the deck? We're not gold paladins. We're not flip the top card off the top of your deck. We're not Neo-Nectars, because the Neo-Nectar Pansy Musketeer is much better. She just flips the top card, and if it's a Musketeer, you just call it out. This guy has the grade 1 or 2 restriction to it. If he was a Pansy Musketeer, then I can see him as a very, very powerful card in the deck, because you're just superior calling cards off the top of your deck like a madman, and I would think he would definitely render a 4 of. But the fact that he's restricted to grade 1 or 2, the fact that, he's inconsistent and you have to take a chance, and if you don't hit, then blah, blah. And then if you don't use, when you use Odysseus, you reduce his consistency. There's just a lot of variables in the deck, guys, that work against him. And again, he's not the type of ride target you want to ride on. If you're having one of those type of games when you don't get the grade 1 or whatever, he's not the card you want to ride. You want to ride a 9K body, Tidal, Lapis, or Pavroth. All right, on to grade 3. All right, guys. So for grade 3, we have 4 copies of Thundering Ripple Genovius, the $25 hard to find grade 3 card. So what he does, guys, is at limit break 4, at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you counterblast 2, and if the number of Aqua Force rests in your rear guard is in your front row is 3, you counterblast 2, Persona Blast, and restand all of your Aqua Force rear guards. And if you have a Pavroth in the soul, then he becomes an 11K Vanguard. If not, then he's 10K, and it's a pretty depressing game. This is the card you don't want to ride, guys, which is why we have cards like Odysseus. Odysseus gives us the next grade 3, but this guy's skill late game when you're in Legion and whatnot is very powerful. Pretty much, let me lay out the simple strategy of the deck for you. Let's just simplify it like this. Play the grade 2 game. Your opponent can't stride, especially against G-Decks. Your opponent can't stride. Your opponent's forced to play vanilla, or we have effects like Tidal Assault, Pavroth going off. Okay, great. Play the grade 2 game. Put our opponent at 4 damage or 3 damage with a very depleted hand, something along those lines. Ride into Miliades grade 3. Search out your ripples. Build, you have your field established. You're at 4 damage. Counterblast at the end of the battle after you use your rear guards attack. Counterblast 2, Persona Blast, restand all your rear guards, finish off your opponent. Pretty simple, but yes, that does require you to be at 4 damage. And sometimes that's not bad. You're playing the grade 2 game, and that's pretty much the simple strategy. Pressure your opponent on grade 2, let your opponent attack your Vanguard, no guard it, get up to about 4 damage. Legion, ride your Legion back your crit triggers. If you have a copy of Genovius in your hand, which you probably should, if not, then you need to be able to find a way to search it out. Then, you can restand on them late game. So he makes the late game plays very, very good. But you don't want to ride him. You don't want to ride him. What you want to ride is this right here, Miliades. Now, what he does, he's a very, very good Legion. So what he does is that when you Legion with your Genovius, so it's Legion 2100, and When this unit attacks an opponent's Vanguard, if this unit's in Legion, if you have 3 units rested in your front row, you choose 3 or more units resting in your front row. You choose up to one of your rear guards, stand it, and then you get to counter charge 1. So you get to unflip a damage. And then if you have 3 rear guards rested in your back row, you get to draw a card. So it's kind of like striding. You know, you get to you'll draw a card, so you'll add 1, then you'll drive check 2. Yeah, pretty simple. Very good card for what he does. And then when you ride him, you counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add a ripple card from among them to your hand, and send the rest to the drop zone. I played someone, we played someone in a Cardfight area. They, you know, played most people in Cardfight area. They were picking up the top 3 of their deck, add a ripple to their hand, and then put it back to the bottom. You don't put it at the bottom, you don't put it at the top, you don't shuffle your deck, you don't do that. You put it in the drop zone. He sets himself up for Legion. So he's a very good grade 3 guy, something that you guys definitely want to consider. Definitely you want to, not even consider, you got to play him at 4. He's very important to the deck. Now, I know some people run 2 Genovis and like 4 and like 6 this, but again, guys, I am not building my deck to sit there and play on the grade 2 games, place all hopes on the grade 2 game and whether it's work or not. My decks are built for not only being able to play the grade 2 game as a strat that I use, but also being able to have other strats of going into grade 3 and continuing my plays. I know how to play on the grade 3. My deck is not built to just play on the grade 2 with weak rear guards, you know, with weak rear guards like the turtle and things like that. My deck is built to play on grade 3. So that's why I'm running a full complementary, because sometimes you're going to damage check him. And if you're only playing like 2 copies of him, whatever, you damage check a copy of him, well, you need to heal him off. If you don't heal him off, then he's stuck there forever. Then you're going to Legion, and then if you don't have these 2 in your deck, well, you can't use his limb break skill, then you can't really, you know, then your end game is going to be predicated again on your grade 2 game. We run more copies of him because he's the Legion mate. For 1, 2, we want to be able to see him in our hand so that we can start doing our late game limit break plays. So that's pretty much that's one of the things. I'm gonna talk about this more in the discussion video, guys. All right, on the stride deck. All right, guys, and finally for my stride deck, currently right now I'm running 4 copies of Padromos. Now, I don't think he's, you know, that fantastic of a stride card, but what he does is that when he hits, you get to G flip 1. He doesn't cost any combos, but when he hits, you get to G flip 1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 ripple cards from among them, and superior call them to the field. So the reason why I do like to use him in some cases, you know, if we're sitting there on grade 2, our opponent rising to grade 3, because they know we're trying to play the grade 2 game, but in some cases, you know, we can't. You know, you can go into him. If your opponent lets him hit, then, you know, we get to, you know, have the chance to create another column, or just have some solid on hit pressure in itself. So that's why I'm playing him for right now. And if he doesn't hit, then you got another chance and then a last chance. You pretty much use, you have pretty much 3 chances to use him. You know, if your opponent's blocking him. So that's pretty simple what he does. I'm not his biggest fan at all. I do like his artwork, but I'm not his biggest fan at all. But that's what he does. Now, I do know some people that run Madu because they want to stride over, like when you're in Legion, stride over, grab a Genovius back to your hand, so the following turn you can do the Legendary play, or stride over when you're in Legion, add a grade 3 to your hand so you can Legion back cards and, you know, do plays like that. So Madu is an option that you can run there. I'd probably run, you know, probably 2 Madus over him, or 1, whatever it is. And some people run Aristotle and Tidal Bore. Just Aristotle for some control, especially since we're playing Tidal Assault. We can get him off much easier and also allow for another attack from another column. Same thing with Tidal Bore. You know, Aristotle, 3rd battle, counter +1, pop a unit, him, hit, and then draw 1 card and choose up to 1 card and call it out if you want to. But in those, you know, I'm not running those cards right now. What I'm running instead is 4 copies of Commander Thavis. He's too good, guys. In our Link Joker matchup, in our matchup against, you know, certain, you know, Kagro decks and things like that, you know, when you're you know, you can't get to your grade 2s, your front row is a little bit depleted. This guy allows you to attack from your back row, especially since Chaos Breaker will be coming out at the end of January and whatnot, and Link Jokers will be back. Even if you're on grade 3 and you're going against Messiahs and things like that, they'll lock up your front row. Well, he allows an attack from the back row, and that's very important for this deck, creating multiple attacks. At least, so you have a place to place your triggers and whatnot, or poke and things like that. This guy is just a very good card. So again, like I said, what he does is once per turn, you Persona G flip, give a unit plus 5,000 and the ability to attack from the back row. And then at GB3, when your unit attacks and it's the 4th battle of the turn only, so wave 4 only, you get to select 3 of your opponent's rear guards. Your opponent chooses 1 from among them and retires it. Remember, selecting all legal targets. If they have, 1 resist target and 2 legal ones, you select the 2 legal ones. They have to choose 1 to retire. So that's what I'm running for Commander Thalvis. He's just too clutch of a card in the deck, guys. Very, very clutch card. All right, but that's the deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was pretty long, but there are some things that I need to explain to you guys, so that you guys can help understand. It also helps me understand as well when I go back and watch the videos when I'm looking at older builds and things of that nature. But this is the Cardfight King, guys. I'm out. I'm gonna have a discussion video for you guys on ripples coming soon. Just some some real talk. Probably rehashing some of the points that I made in this video, and I will be having some card fights up as well. I know I have a card fight requested of Blue Waves, my Tetra Boil Blue Waves versus the Vase versus Ripples. I think I got Maelstrom versus Tetra Boil and whatnot. So if you guys have a match request, then please leave in the comment section below, and I will. You guys know I always respond to you guys in the comment section. I'll let you guys know if that match is possible within a certain time frame, because I don't have every deck in the game, and sometimes I can't get with my team. But my brother does have his Kagero, his Brawler deck, his Genesis deck. I have my Aqua Force decks and things like that. So guys, let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll see if I can do it. All right, Cardfight King, and we out. Peace.